So one of the next things that happened to me that was actually quite difficult, and I have no idea, to be honest with you, whether or not it has to do with me going vegan or not. Basically, it happened 5 months after going vegan, and I was getting these really bad headaches, to the point where like my right ear would get really hot, and then if I kept standing up and kept trying to like push myself to keep going and doing things, like I would start to throw up. So I went to the doctor about this, and they just figured that I had the flu. So I was taking flu medication, and then I wasn't eating very good because like I couldn't like stand for very long, and our house was messy, and Jeff was busy working and that sort of thing. So I was basically eating foods I thought you eat when you have the flu. So it was like soup and crackers, and then when I like had a little bit more energy, I would like eat a carrot. I have this thing where when I have a bad headache, I like to like wash a carrot and like roll it on my forehead and like just get all the coldness on there. I'll do that like with a cup too, or like a mug. I'll be like, yes, that feels good. Yes. Anyways, so I obviously, like in hindsight, obviously, after a week of that, I was still not feeling good. And at that point, I mean, I had missed like a week of work. So my work wanted a sick note. So I had to go back to the doctor again. And I was talking to them about it, and I was like starting to get a little bit worried. I was like, I think I said this already. It was 5 months after going vegan. So I was like, what happens if I'm not eating properly? What happens if I'm being a bad vegan or whatever, and I'm just not getting the nutrition I need? So I told the doctor, I was like, I actually recently went vegan. And then they started asking me questions. They're like, does migraines run in your family? I'm like, yes. Does anemia or low iron run in your family? And I said, yes, low iron runs in my family. So they put me to go and get like a full blood test, and silly me, do not do this. Silly me, I do believe that I actually started taking iron tablets right before I got my blood tested. Like I think I took one the day that I went and got my blood tested. So basically it showed up that I had excess iron in the blood test results, which is fine because then that just means you're just going to pee it out. So excess iron is okay. But basically the doctor said you don't need to take the iron tablets, and all your results look fine. So unfortunately, after like having got the blood tested and everything like that, like I never got any answers. I don't know why I was getting those headaches. I don't know why I was throwing up and like having the hot ear and all that kind of stuff. Once I realized that I didn't have the flu, I started to try to eat healthier, and just tried to eat like more different types of things and getting like different types of nutrition in me. I actually started to feel better. My body heals itself. Hurrah! So one of my friends pointed out to me that maybe that was me going through the detox phase. Like like I said, I haven't looked into the detox thingy, so I don't know if that can happen 5 months later. But when I posted it to the group, like I don't think anybody had suggested that it was the detox thing. So I don't think other people have has anyone else gone through this? Like that was a really weird period. I've never experienced that ever again since then. And like I said, I've never talked to anyone that's experienced that, so I don't even know if it had anything to do with being vegan. It could have been like maybe I just wasn't eating very well that week before that happened. I don't know. So I would just suggest to make sure to eat a big variety in your foods, like eat different types of produce, eat grains, eat nuts. Like, I mean, obviously if you're allergic, don't eat those things, but just eat variety. And I've never tracked what I ate, except for sometimes I'll like write a food journal just to like kind of check in with myself, just to see, and then I'll write, like I said, right beside like how I'm feeling. But otherwise, I've never tracked calories. I've never really went onto sorry, there's a website called Cronometer, which I actually want to use just for the purpose of YouTubing. I want to be able to share with people like the nutrition you get from certain vegan foods versus meat eater foods, and just compare the two. But otherwise, yeah, I haven't really tracked those sort of things. I just wanted to share that story with you guys, just to be very transparent with you guys. But like I said, I have no idea if it had anything to do with me going vegan or not. So I've already touched base on this a little bit, but another ongoing struggle that I've had since going vegan is eating out with non-vegans. It's kind of like this inward struggle that I've been like playing and toying around with inside myself. But basically, that sounded really dirty. But basically, like I said, I force myself not to look at their meals and I just focus on what I'm eating. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, that actually looks really good, la la la. And my boyfriend will sometimes be like, oh, I should have ordered that. That actually looks and smells really good. Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, like I said, it does make me sad to see people that I love eating things that makes me sad. Go figure, right? But I just choose not to like bring it up and talk about it because I don't feel like the dinner table is the right time to talk about something like that. I feel like it's better to wait till either you're not eating or like they're asking you the questions and that sort of thing, or just posting it on your Facebook profile. So, yeah, I don't only just post like stuff like that on my Facebook profile. I post all about myself. I'll get to that in another video, I think, because I think that is an important thing to bring up. Another tip that I have for when you're eating with a big group of people for like holidays, etc., is just to like not focus on what they're eating and more focus on what you're eating and offer it to people, because like that's another thing. Like if people can try your food, like make enough food for yourself plus other people, so then if people can like see it and smell it and then taste it, they're like, plus maybe they saw you make it, yeah, then all those things combined together, they'll be like, huh, maybe I'll try this next week or like next month or something, you know, this is actually really good. So that's just like, people are very inspired and interested by food. That seems to be like the main thing that my non-vegan friends seem to like and share and comment on. Whenever I like share something of like that's like depressing and the torture of animals, only vegans comment on it. or the few people that I think have been kind of following me and like checking out my profile every now and then and considering veganism, some of them will comment on it sometimes. But for the or some of my troll friends, you know who you are. You're probably not watching this video. It's getting kind of long. So I think this will differ from person to person. You basically have to ask yourself whether or not you're able to just focus on what you're eating and not focus on what they're eating. Or you have to maybe just be honest with them and just be like, I don't want to eat out at non-vegan restaurants with you. Will you come and try this vegan restaurant with me? Obviously, this is going to cause conflict with some people, so that might not work with everyone. But, you know, I do know some people that actually, they have that as a very firm rule. Some vegans that have a very firm rule with that. And over time, their family and close friends have come to accept that, or else they've just kind of like cut them out of their life. But for me, I don't really want to cut out my family from my life, so I just choose to, I guess, have that inward struggle and suffer, or whatever, inward suffering, I don't know. Because I just feel like leading by example and just showing them the yummy foods that vegans can eat that are delicious and nutritious. And yeah, I just feel like having people see that and see that at restaurants that they normally go to, that they are actually really good options, because they really is. Like, you can go to a steakhouse and you can like look through the whole menu and just be like, oh, they have like these veggies, they have these, like it might be all in these different like menu items, and you'll see that they have these beans, they have this, they have that, blah, 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 and you can just combine it together into like one dish. And sometimes when you do that, it's super cheap, like $10, $5, $7, I don't know. Sometimes it's super cheap when you do it that way, like not even gonna lie. And, you know, I mean, it's not hard for a place to steam food or to like do a stir fry, so usually it comes out tasting really good. There's only been, I feel like I could probably count on one hand the amount of times that I've been actually kind of disappointed with the food that has been brought out to me at a non-vegan restaurant. Usually it's actually really, really good. So there's that. Yay! I've also found that when I've done this, where I've went and sat with like non-vegans at non-vegan restaurants, that they'll both usually, they'll scope out the menu for me as well, and they'll be like, oh, Monique, you can have this and this and this, like maybe like ask the waitress about this. And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. But I've also found that those people that have went to these restaurants with me, they're actually more open-minded to trying out vegan restaurants later with me. So I think it's a bit of give and pull with this. Like I said, it's going to differ from person to person. Some people are just going to have like this no tolerance thing, but that's just, I don't think it's the most effective way. I really don't. So that's not how I do it. But I'm not here to judge you if you do it differently. Like, you do you, I do me. Yay. I believe that me eating my vegan food in front of them at like a place that they normally go to, like Moxie's or Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza doesn't have very great, at least like the Boston Pizza here, they I think they use like frozen vegetables that they like boil. Anyways, so if you like eat your non-vegan food in front of them at like the restaurants that they normally go to, then it kind of just, if it looks good and if maybe they've sampled some of it from your plate, then maybe they'll like order it in the future. Who knows? Maybe you're influencing them. Maybe they'll be like interested in making it at home. So, holy crap, I think this video is getting long. I don't know how long it is because I keep having to press the stop button while I go and look at the next topic. But basically I've gotten through all the major main points. So those are the main struggles, things I've disliked, hated, whatever about veganism so far. And just a few more that I'll just try to talk about a little bit more briefly. Something that bothers me is that a lot of products have milk in them. Like milk, dairy product, like milk derivatives, whey, casein. I can't think of all of them right now. Oh my gosh. But anyways, there's quite a few. And even chips. What the heck? Lay's chips, basically, I think the only one that's vegan is the salt. Because for some reason, even like all dressed has dairy. Like I understand when sour cream and onion has dairy, like I get that, but like ketchup? What? It's just so weird. I don't know. So that's something that that's something that bugs me. That's something that I hate about being vegan is that sometimes you're just looking at a product and you're like, why? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. So Old Dutch is a better brand of chips to purchase from because most of, like, a lot of those flavors that shouldn't have milk in them don't. So that's great. So I've kind of mentioned this earlier, but when I'm hungry and I don't have, like, the nuts or granola bars in my purse, then I become hangry, and then, like, it makes it hard to make choices. So it's good to like have those like backup kind of like options in your head of like places to go to get like easy to eat food. So Harvey's, for example, they have like a vegan burger. In Canada you can get fries from McDonald's and they are vegan. Apparently in the United States they use like milk, maybe even like beef sauce. What is that called? Beef something. Anyways, the liquid stuff. Apparently, like, they use that kind of stuff in their fries. Like, I don't know why. Another thing that frustrates me with veganism is that there's so much back and forth online. Like, when you look up something to try to figure out whether or not it's vegan, there's, like, some articles saying yes, some articles saying no, and then in certain years it was yes, and certain years it's not, and then you're just like, holy crap, like, what? So the best thing to know about that is that we live in a non-vegan world. You just can do the very best you can do, and if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. That's the way it is. And like some companies, they'll just change their ingredients lists and just there's no heads up, no warning. So it's always good to just kind of quickly scan over the ingredients list, even to something that you're used to buying, like say nibs or Twizzlers. Every now and then it might be good just to check, just to make sure they don't sneak in gelatin for some weird reason. Because like those two items are already accidentally vegan. So accidentally vegan just means products that weren't catered to the vegan community, but they just happen to be vegan because the ingredients are vegan. Woohoo! Win-win! Something else that I dislike about being vegan is sometimes I feel like I am too vegan. There's certain like activities and stuff like that that I've held off on because I don't know if it's vegan. And it can be like a little bit frustrating and annoying. But at the end of the day, I just figured that like putting off a hobby for a little while until I know more information isn't the end of the world. So for example, paint night. I'm pretty sure the paints they use probably aren't vegan. I would love to do a paint night sometime. But yeah. I'm trying to put together a local one here to hopefully put together with actual vegan paints and that sort of thing. That might take another year or two before like that event actually happens. I don't know, but yeah, I just really want to experience a paint night, okay? But like I said, sometimes I just feel too vegan and it can be a little bit frustrating and sad. I feel like I must not be the only one that struggles with this. So as I started to mention earlier, sometimes the where do you get your protein from can be a little bit annoying or off-putting. I feel like it depends on like my frame of mind when the person's asking me this, because I honestly don't mind when people ask me questions, because then it's just like an opportunity for you to like unleash all your knowledge. Just, it's someone like asking a question they actually really want to know. Usually they want to know. Sometimes they're poking fun. You start to get a feel for who's poking fun and who actually wants to know though. So I feel like the times when I do get frustrated with this question are the times when my brain's just like not in it. Cause like right now, if someone were to be like, where do you get your protein from? I'd be like, cause like honestly, I don't even like look into it, because honestly, all produce, like all fruits and vegetables have varying degrees of protein in them. So, but usually when people are asking, they're wanting to know things that are like high protein, and I'm just like, dude, just use Google. I don't know. But like, so I'll say things like nuts and legumes and stuff like that, and then they'll be like, yeah, but me, or say they're talking about their friend, or allergic to all those items, da da da, or like beans make me gassy, yada yada yada, and I'm just like, like I don't know, just Google it, like. So sometimes, yes, that question can be really annoying, but sometimes I find it liberating to be able to talk about that. Sometimes, like if I have my phone on me, I'll just like Google it, and there's all these handy like little memes with that like talk about all the different proteins, and I'll just be like, look, and they'll be like, oh, that's interesting. That's a really good way to like kind of end that conversation. So as I also mentioned a little bit earlier was smells. That's another thing that can be a little bit bothersome. So eggs have a terrible smell. Such a terrible smell. And sometimes hot dogs can have a bad smell. I don't mind the smell of bacon when it's cooking, I think, but the after smell of it is just very greasy and really gross. So yeah, just different animal products can just be very overwhelming to the nose, to the senses. Like, it's just not something that I'm used to anymore. I personally don't mind the smell of steak because usually there's barbecue sauce on it, but I feel like if you were to cook up raw cow flesh, that it wouldn't smell very appealing. But like with barbecue sauce, you know, not so bad. And the very last thing is that I think that I do get a little bit hungry a little bit more often. I could be wrong with this though. Like, I used to get hungry often before too, so I don't, it's kind of hard to compare that. But like I said, what I do is I just have like nuts and just different things to snack on throughout the day, like handy, ready to eat, so that I can just like munch on it a little bit. But I think that does make sense because like meat is quite high in calories from what I understand, whereas like produce isn't high in calories, so you need to eat more of it. So basically when you go from non-vegan to vegan, you can't just like eat the same quantity of foods minus the meat and dairy and eggs, you know, and honey. You have to like eat more of the produce, which honestly, even when you aren't vegan, they actually say that your half your plate should be full of vegetables, which nobody ever does. But you should do that. You should go vegan. I'm just kidding. Okay. I always promised that I wouldn't be one of those vegans that say that. Okay, so when I make my lunches, I basically just put more food in it than I think that I can eat, just in case I was thinking more. But you know, I don't know. When I think more, like I get more hungry. Or if you're like doing more exercise or whatever than you thought you were going to be doing, then you get more hungry, right? That's just how it works. So yeah, just overpack your lunches and have snacks on hand. And those are my tips. And those are my tips. And this has got to be like a half-hour video. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. So if you liked this video, if you made it this far, thank you. Hooray! So yeah, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, pretty please. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and please comment below with things that you have struggled with yourself, and also make sure to leave like tips on how you overcame that. Or maybe if you are a new vegan and you are struggling with something and you want some tips like on how to overcome it, then just leave that in the comments section below and I'll get back to you for sure, and perhaps some other people will have some other suggestions too. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm gonna be doing another one. I really have to pee right now, so I'm trying to determine whether or not I want to like film that right away, but I'm going to do another video on all the pros, all the positives that I've experienced as a vegan as well. I feel like that video might be a little bit shorter, but mostly because I haven't actually written that one out. I wrote out all the cons because I wanted to really think it through. Anyways, I gotta go pee. Bye! Veg, peace, and love. Till next time, guys. Thanks so much for watching.